Okay, so let's try to do the same thing with a binary file. So a binary file is essentially any file that is not like a text file. And resolving conflicts with binary files is a little bit more complicated because we can't just enter a binary file and change its contents and have it make sense. Let's just try to first upload an audio file. Let's do this bow file. Okay, and we're committing that to the audio branch. Nice. To pull this down to the local repo, we just do git pull. And now that should be in here. Okay, so let's say someone changes this file, but keeps the same name. I'm just going to use another audio file with different contents that I've named the same as this file, and we're going to just replace it and pretend like someone updated this file by commit those changes. Nice. Now let's say we want to make some changes to it. It has too much high end, so we'll just reduce this volume a little bit. And we save it. So what's happened now is that someone else has changed this file and committed those changes to the server. We have also made changes to this file. So if I go git status, we can see that this audio file has been changed. Git add, I'm gonna add this file and we'll commit it. That worked fine. We tried to push it. We have the same error as before. We tried to pull this down and we can see that there is a merge conflict because two people worked on the same binary file. Now we can't really merge these two files together because binary files are difficult to handle. So we have to choose one or the other. With text files, Git will pull down the remote changes and let you see both side by side and compare, and you can choose one or the other. But here we're only left with a single audio file, and that single audio file is just the same one that you're trying to commit. So we have to tell Git how to handle this situation. Now we can't check out the binary files by using git checkout, but now we need to use a keyword to differentiate between our version and the version from the remote repository. We already know what our version sounds like. Let's check out what their version sounds like. So we'll do there, and then we will go EPR. Yeah. Now we can go and listen to this. But it isn't really what we want. So what we're going to do is go back to our. That sounds a lot better. It is a bow fire sound after all and not a bow draw sound. And then we can check the status of Git. Now that we've selected a file, we can add it and push this to the repo on top of the changes that someone else already made. We'll do git add, then our file, git status, git commit, and then we do git pull. And you can see we're up to date. There is nothing else to pull. Then we can safely push our changes. Git push. If we now go back to the online repository, it now sounds like our file again. So doing this with a lot of files is time consuming, so we generally don't want to work on the same files. The changes of one person will almost always have to be discarded, which is a waste of time. Let's say you're working on a game object that has a lot of systems connected to it. Let's say we did a lot of work on the audio for a game object, and then another person did a lot of work on the character controller for that object. Git doesn't know how to differentiate between different functionalities on a binary file, so we end up with a conflict. And then now all the audio that was done for this game object has to be thrown away, or all the character controller stuff have to be thrown away. And I guarantee you it's going to be audio that's going to be thrown away first. If you do work on the same binary file, say if you're working on a piece of music together, then make sure that only one of you pushes that change to the repository. One way to make sure that we're not working on the same files all at once is that we set up the logic for how the sounds are going to be played in advance. One thing that makes meta sounds so cool is that it separates, or has the ability to separate, audio logic from game objects. We can create meta sounds for anything we need first, and then we can connect those meta sounds to game objects. Then the game developers can continue to work on the game objects, and we can work on the meta sounds, and they won't have to touch the meta sounds ever.
And we can still test our audio in game.
So as long as the audio team doesn't work on the same meta sounds, then no conflicts should occur. There are different software that makes this process a lot simpler. One of them is, for instance, Git Kraken, which looks something like this, where you can see the commits. It's very nice for organizational purposes and like project management and stuff like that. There's also Git Org, I think. However, most of these cost money. So I think the easiest and best way is just to use the command line. It's not that complicated once you get into it, and it also helps you understand Git on a more fundamental level.